Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, we're making another 3D slot together design for Easter, and this time it's a three-dimensional Easter bunny. Look how cute he is with his little nose and smile. These are really lovely paper craft projects. They stand up all by themselves, and they have a lovely little jiggle to their head. It wibbles and wobbles around. If you wanted to, you could leave this little middle section bare and put in some battery-powered tea lights or fairy lights, or you could even add some little chocolates into his belly for that extra special Easter treat. Or if you fancy a real challenge, how about making, let's just move these out the way, a tiny miniature version. Let's just compare him to the standard size. He is very, very cute, but I will warn you, if you do want to make one this small, it does get pretty tricky in some places. So if you're just starting out, bigger is certainly better. Now, the SVG cut file to get these cute little bunnies is absolutely free from my website. So let's find out where to get it and then how to make an Easter bunny for you and your family to enjoy. You can download the free cutting file for this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-svgs or follow the link in the description of this video to go straight to the download page. The download comes in a zip folder, and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, then go to Upload over on the left, and then Upload Image. You can then click Browse to find a file on your computer or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the folder, and then the file to select is the one which starts SVG in the file name. Click and drag that in. It's a little bit hard to see because most of the layers are white, but you can kind of see how it looks over here. And then I'll press Upload. When it enters your recent uploads, click it to get the green border, and then press Add to Canvas. And this is what it looks like with all the pieces separate on the screen. We need to do a little bit of formatting to this to get it to do all of our scoring exactly as we want it to. And also, I will point out this makes a rabbit, which is approximately 7 3/4 inches tall. You can resize it to make it bigger or smaller, and I'll show you how to do that after we've done all the file formatting, as the resizing is much easier to do after you've followed the steps I'm about to show you. Okay, so first things first, click on your image and then press Ungroup at the top of the Layers panel. This will separate out all of our layers. We can then look down the Layers panel, and you see within here, we've got several kind of mini groups in there, which you can tell because there's a little arrow, and then when you click next to that arrow, it selects multiple layers. On this one, you can see it's selected this piece here, and in the Layers panel, we've got a vertical line. This needs to be changed to a score line, so click so that you've just got the single line selected. You'll know because that's the only one that appears highlighted. And then at the top of the Layers panel, where it says Operation, click in there and change it to a score line. You'll know if you've selected the correct thing because the little color box will be green. So I'll go in here and choose Score, click away, and then you know it's worked because that's now appearing as a little dashed line, but there's still one more thing to do. Click it, and you see this has selected both of those layers in this mini group, and then down the bottom of the Layers panel, press Attach. Attach is what tells the Cricut to do the score line on this particular bit of card. Look down the Layers panel again until you come across another mini group. So this is that opposite side of the shape. I'm going to do the same thing. I've got my single line selected, and then change it to a score line, click away, click it to select it, and press Attach. And then just keep looking down until you find some more. So there's another one here. This time it's got 2 lines in it, but it's still one layer. So I've clicked that one, change it to a score line, click the piece, and then attach. Look down again. There are quite a lot of pieces in this one. We've got one more piece on here, and this is going to be the score lines, which is how we attach his arms. Click the score line, or the line we're going to turn into a score line. Change it under the operations, click away, click it, and attach. There's one more over here. You can see I've got this here in the layers panel. Change it to a score, click away, click it, or of course you can just click the mini group itself, doesn't matter which way around you do it, press attach. When you attach something, it goes to the top of the layers panel, so you know you're not doing the same one more than once. I'm just going to check if there are any more, but there aren't. So now that would be all good and ready for me to cut out. But first, I will just show you how to resize. All right, so it's a little bit tricky because everything comes in pieces, so it's not like there's one easy point of reference to know for the resizing. But by default, it does load in for a bunny, which is about 7.75 inches tall. So what we can do is go into Shapes and choose a square. Make this 7.75 inches tall. And then select the top left body piece and press Arrange, Bring to Front. Now drag this and line it up along the bottom of your square. Then select the bunny ear piece, which has the ear sticking up. Again, go Arrange, Bring to Front, which moves it so it will be able to see it in front of the square. Drag it in and position it this time so that the top of the ear touches against the top of the square. So that now means that these pieces are showing that they're 7.75, and there will be a bit of overlap because the head will slot into that body shape after we've put everything together. Okay, so now you've got those two pieces in place, we can figure out the sizing. The teeny tiny one I showed you at the beginning of the video is about 4.75 inches tall. So resize your square however big, and I will just say, if you make it smaller, it will get harder to stick together. The smaller it is, the harder it is to put together. So just bear that in mind. If you make one that is 4.75 inches tall, it is super cute and adorable, but will be on the trickier side to put together. Just putting that little warning in there now. Okay, so here's my square. I'm going to hide it by hovering over the layers panel and clicking the eye that appears. And then let's select the bunny ear, press Shift on your keyboard and choose the body. Just move it over so that it's not covering anything else up. Press Select All to select all the pieces on the screen, and then group them together, pressing the Group button at the top of the Layers panel. It's really important you do this so that when we resize to make it smaller, it means every single piece changes in proportion with each other, so your bunny will still stick together exactly as we want it to. Press Arrange and Center Back so that our square then appears at the top, and turn it back on by clicking the eye. Now you can resize the whole bunny group, and actually it probably will be easier if that's on top of the square. Keep going until that bunny where you've put the body and the ear together match the size of that square, and that's how you can sort of roughly know what size it will appear when it is made. It will be a little bit different because sometimes it slots in a bit more than it does on other times. It just depends a little bit when you stick it together and put it together. So it might not be exact, but you have a pretty good idea of how it's going to turn out. Okay, well, I'm going to actually do mine at the original size. So let's just whack this undo button until it gets all big again. There we go. Pretty sure that was the right size. Yeah, okay, I can delete my square. I'm going to do mine in my original size, so just go ahead and press Make. This separates everything out for you, and although the pieces are kind of a little light grey, I'm going to cut them from white. I just made them kind of a pale grey on the screen to make it easier to see. You can change the paper size. In here, I'll use A4. And Design Space has done a pretty good job of filling up that sheet, but if you want to, you can click and drag to move things about to take up less space on your card. For example, I think I could probably fit those on the other pages. If you want to move things about, click the three little dots, move object, choose one of the same colour, and just position it wherever you want, making sure nothing overlaps, which that one doesn't. Brilliant. And I am going to move all of these. That one also doesn't overlap. Let's put that on the first sheet. Now that is overlapping, so I'll just move it. It can go in the middle of that one because we don't need the middle. That's a cutout anyway. And then two more. I like doing this because it means you use up less pieces of card, which means you've got more left over for another project another day. All right, there we go. That's all those pieces moved. I've now got an empty third sheet, which is fine because when I click continue to connect to my Cricut, it will get rid of that empty sheet. So go ahead, get everything looking exactly as you want it to, and then press continue, connect to your Cricut, and get everything cut out from your cardstock. I've now got all the pieces of my Easter Bunny all cut out, and this one is a little bit more involved than some of the other slot together animals and creations that I've done previously because there's loads of detail in this bunny. If we just take a little look at him on my finished one, I just accidentally lost his leg. I'll have to stick that back on. But you see he's got loads of detail in his arms, his legs, and his face especially, which is why there are so many pieces. And we'll need to do a bit more gluing this time than we would normally do. However, it will still all come apart after Easter, so that you can store it flat for next year. We'll start with the bits that need gluing, of which there are, as you can see, quite a lot. And the easiest ones to find are the ones where you've got a solid pink and then some white to go on top. I already kind of got mine into position here. We'll start with the ears. Got one sticky up here, which can be glued onto the pink. There we are. And then one floppy ear. Make sure you're gluing it so they're in the right direction. There we go. This is why it gets a little bit tricky if you make it really small. It just means everything you've got to glue is a little bit smaller. Let's just remind ourselves how teeny tiny this one is. And the ear here is practically as big as his body. But at least it shows what is possible. And then I've got the feet. Next is this pink kind of rectangular, ovally shape. I'm not sure how to describe it. This gets stuck to the back of the front tummy piece to show his little pink belly through. You can leave it open if you want to. So if you want to maybe show that there is an Easter egg inside your Easter bunny, you could leave that without the pink bit on, just so you can see the chocolate. And then we've got some arms here. I think actually I'll leave the arms for now until we get to that part of the design, because they'll need a little bit of work to get them into place. So instead, what shall we do? How about the tail? This has several pieces to it. 3 little bits, and you can glue these or use a little bit of foam square. I'm just trying to find some on my desk. Here we go. All right. If you want your tail to be extra fluffy, then you can use foam squares instead of glue. But it's up to you. It's all 3 bits. Super fluffy tail. And then the eyes. We've got the 2 bits that will go into the bunny, and you want the sides with the circles closest to the edge. They'll be the ones that face each other. And then there's 3 bits to go on the inside. And the reason we're putting white on white, even though that's a little bit odd when you look at a white bunny, you might wonder, why am I doing that? But it does mean that if you want to change the colour of the rabbit, for example, here's a grey one, then you still get that same colour of the eyes. So that's why we're building that up with so many layers. Start by taking one of the little semicircles, add some glue, then stick the blue over the top, turn it over, just make sure it's in the middle. There we go. And then on top of that one, just a little dab more glue, and add one of the solid white bits. Doesn't need to line up, as long as it covers the hole. I'll leave that to dry whilst I do the other side. I could probably zoom in a little more. There, that'll make things easier to see, won't it? Okay, I'll do exactly the same on this one. Stuck to my finger. Right, now these are the sides that I want the front to be. Turn them upside down. And a little glue around the edge of those circles. And then bring the eyes back in. Make sure you're happy with where they're going. Oops. So I've not quite got those even. There we go. I've stuck this one on upside down. Let's see if I can rectify that. Yeah, my glue's not quite dry. I thought I'd better fix that, otherwise my bunny's going to look very cross-eyed. There we go. That's a bit better. We also need to glue on the ears and position these 2 parts of the head so that the one with the slanted ear goes on top. They're all nicely lined up. And then some glue on the back. This is the pointy ear. That'll go on there. It should line up nicely. And the same on the other one. Right. And now, just got the face left. There are a lot of pieces for this. First, look for the little, it's not quite a circle, but the little pink shape that goes on the back of the mouth. Glue around here. Stick that in place. I'll wait for that to dry. Next will be his little buck teeth. This one I used some foam squares. Turn it over and add a couple of little foam squares. Just gives him more character with a little bit of a more sticky out face than just gluing it. And that will go on top of the one we just did so that those top bits line up. There we are. I'm going to put that on my foam square. I don't want to mark my lovely big bit of green card with glue the first time I've used it. Next is this piece, which will be glued. This just gives a bit of depth out from the teeth. Okay. Then there's the white piece for the nose, which looks like this. This one I'll foam on again. Didn't do that bit very well, did I? That's better. This one goes on the top. And finally, a dab of glue and the nose. That's what we've ended up with. Hopefully you can see. I'll leave that on there. Right, that was quite a little bit of prep work, but now we can start working on actually putting Mr. Bunny Rabbit together, starting with the body. If you've made any of my slot together designs before, this will be looking very familiar to you now from this point onwards. Zoom out a little. Okay. The body comes in 3 sections. This is the order round we want it to go. So the first one has the slit coming out of this line here, and also this line here, there's a slit. The second one has 2 slits in this bottom bit here. And the third one is the one with the slit right out of that bottom, and it's also got the biggest piece taken out of the top. Take number 2 and then slide it into number 1, starting with the top, and then carefully get the bottom bit over and slit into place. I have just missed that spectacularly. There we go. I had to bring it closer to my face so I could actually see. So you should end up with something that will stand up, but it also goes flat when you put it together. And that will allow the third piece to go on the top and then carefully over and in. Then we get our 6-sided body like that. The next thing to do is to add some stability with these 2 circles. Make sure you choose the bigger ones. The little ones are for the head. We want the 2 big ones. Now these are the same, so it doesn't matter which one you use at the top and which one you use at the bottom. These pieces have the little slits in the side, you can see here and here. And these are going to go into the slits in the top and the bottom of the body. Do the top first. So I'll put that in and then just gently get all of those slots slots or slits so that they'll go in to the main structure. It takes a little while, it's a little bit fiddly. The smaller you make this, the harder it is. And you might find that you have to kind of get one side in a little bit and then just push one up the opposite side a little bit further until they start going in. But once they do start going in, you can almost hear them sort of click into place as you know they're there. Be careful not to rip your cardstock as you're going. Just got one left. There we go. And then once it's in, it will be quite flat. So if you look at it from the other side, that's nice and flat. And then we'll do the same with one in the bottom. So in here. The bottom one's usually a little easier because it's now got the rigidity from the top. She says. Okay, that bottom bit is now in there. So there is our body. And we can start adding the sides. At this point, it doesn't matter which way around you put them, it's the same. We'll start with the one for the body. We just go in one of those slits and then bring it through so that the bottom part goes through the other slit. And there's one. The next two are the ones with the arms. So that's these two. You know which ones it is because they've got this little rectangle to cut out. And they're opposite sides to each other. So we'll fold out along that score line like that. And then the fluffy bits, just kind of bend them upwards a little. Just gives it a little fluffy appearance. We're not quite folding it, just a slight tussling of the card. And do the same for the one which will go on the other side. Here are my arms. These will get glued onto the backs. So this bit here, this top flap, add some glue on there. There we go. And then stick the arm on top. Might need to hold it in place for that glue to dry. I'll just leave that one while I do the other one. While they're drying, we'll do the other bits of the body. So remember to leave one either side of that middle for the arms. And then we have the remaining three. The very back one is this piece, which has got the tail, this little circle, and some more fluff. There we go. I'll use my foam square once more on the tail. Add that on there. It's so cute. Alright, this one's in my back, the very back. So in and then through. Okay. The ones next to it just have fluff. Slide in and through. There we go. And one more fluff. These are opposite way rounds to each other, so just check you're happy with the direction that you're putting them. There we go. Now we've just got those arms to finish off. I've just gone ahead and stuck one of them together to save a little bit of time, but I'll show you how to do it on this one. So bend the arm outwards, make sure that glue's already nice and dry, and then add a little bit of foam square to the back of the pink piece of the hand and stick that in place. And then the white one on top will glue. There. And then we'll just bend that hand backwards on itself. There's no score line, you didn't need it. It just gives that little waving hand effect. And then when that glue's dry, it can slide into the body. He's so cute. My glue's not dry on this one. I'm hoping it'll be okay. Alright, that's all the segments of the body, but we still need to do his feet. For that, we've got these pieces which have score lines on them. This is the one for his right side, so fold the score line in like that. I'm going to add a little bit of a bigger foam square to the back, and then on the front, a smaller foam square, or you can glue it. All of these foam squares, completely optional. Put his foot on there, and then this tucks in just underneath the fluff. So we'll get that foam square stuck. This does work better, this particular bit with foam, as it gives you the dimension. And then just bending it round a little, because we need to make sure it will still sit in nicely when it's displayed. There we go. If you need to, you can double up on the foam squares and put 2 in, just to help it sit on there a little bit better. But I think one is going to work for me. And the same on the other side. Fold that outwards. Little bit of foam on this bit for the foot. There, a bigger bit of foam on the back. I folded that the wrong way. No, that's right. And then he tucks in on the other side. Again, make sure it's still going to fit. Hold it round a bit. There. Turn it up so you can actually see. That's how these are stuck down. And they're vaguely in line with each other. But it's fine. I know you can't see, but once he's down like that, they look just fine. Okay, body done. Time for the head, which is a little bit easier now. We've got these pieces. Start with the sticky up ear, then the floppy ear, and then the remaining bit. This bit's a little tricky. Let's go in. So I'm not bringing the ear through, I believe. Just slotting over there. Actually, it's probably easier to do the bottom bit first. It's a very awkward shape, this one. So it is on the trickier side. Okay, there. So, oops, dropped it. When it's folded flat, your ears will appear next to each other. And then we've got this bit, which I just knocked over. The bit with the 2 slots taken out of it, this will be where we'll attach the nose. So this bit has to go between the 2 ears. So we'll lay it out, and then this will go in the top, this will go in the bottom, this has to be the front. It might be easier to go from behind. There. It might not stand up this time because the ears are toppling it over. And next we've got the 2 circles, one for the top bit in the slits, one for the bottom bit, exactly like we did on the body. So I just pause this video and get those into place. Then we'll add the finishing touches to the head. Here's my bunny head, and I've put in the 4 fluffy sides, which all look the same. So I'm just left with the eyes to go in, and then these little slits on the front will be how his nose gets stuck on. We'll start with the eyes, just up there, and bend around, go in the bottom. There we go. There we go, and then the other one in there. The last one's always the hardest. There we go. And then for this bit in his nose, you've got this piece here. It's got a long slit on one side and a shorter slit on the other. Fold it downwards along the score lines like that, and then we'll slot it in. The bigger one will go in the slot in the other way round. The bigger one goes in the bottom and the smaller one in the top. You see it sits in there just nicely when you get it that right way round, just there. Then 1 dab of glue, cover all of this front section. There we go. Be careful because it will wiggle around a little bit. And then get your face, pop that on there, however you want it to be positioned. And then I'm going to just hold this and let that glue dry before I put it onto the body. My bunny's nose is all nice and dry now, so it's time to add the head to the body. If you look on top of the body, it's got kind of a star shape where all the pieces meet, and this corresponds to the star on the bottom of the head. We're going to slot the head into the body, and this can take a little bit of playing about and wiggling around until it goes in, but you'll know when it goes in because it's got a nice slide to it, and then it will be held so it doesn't easily come out. And I love that it has a little wobble effect. Very cute. And there we go. That's Mr. Easter Bunny all finished. Doesn't he look lovely? He's so cute. I'll zoom out again just to show you a few other things that you can do with him. So I hinted at this in the video, but you can also change the colour. So here's how he looks in a bit of a darker grey. And his head is the right way around, it's just a little bit wibbly wobbly. And of course, you can make him smaller. Look how cute that is in comparison. If I put him next to a Cricut cutie, very, very similar, just to show you an idea of the size. He is not big at all. And if you like this bunny, check out my other videos because I've also got a Easter chick, which goes together very similarly. Actually, this isn't the chick, this is the duckling. I just picked up the wrong one. So this is a little duckling. And here is the chick. They are very cute together. They match our little bunny design really nicely. And you won't have seen this before, but one of my team members had a go at making them super small. Look how cute these are. They are tiny. They are just, look, I can't even deal with how cute they are. They're really sweet. So whether you make the bigger ones or the little ones to go with your big or little Easter rabbit, I hope you have fun with them. And if you have any other suggestions for slot together designs to create for any other season, please do let me know in the comments because they're so much fun to make. I'd love to have a few more for the collection. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and free SVGs. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!